I forgive myself and I forgive you. I can forgive you. So many times in my life, part of this self love, part of me saying I need to work on myself is it's not always financial. It's not always I need money. It's not always I need a car because the truth is the problems that I'm going through, the money's not gonna solve these things. Like I have to forgive myself because I can say, okay, they're human. They did me wrong. But what about me forgiving myself? What about me? Like I'll always be like, well, I did this too. I did my part. And I feel like I always blame myself. Even if I forgive someone else, I always say it's all my fault. No matter who it is. I swear, like in every situation. But not only do we have to forgive other people, but we have to forgive ourselves. Something particularly, like for example, like I may say in my other videos that you know I knew I didn't need to hop into a relationship. I knew that, okay? But one thing about me being an honest person is that I decided to let that person know before I even met them face to face that I had just got out of a toxic relationship. I let them know. I might not let them know everything, but I told them I was suicidal just a few months ago. I told them that I had depression, and I think that in the form that I met them in, I looked really nice, and maybe they thought it wasn't true, maybe they thought it went away, but the truth is it didn't. And it really depression doesn't really go away. Like it doesn't go away like a light switch. It's like it takes time. It takes time. It doesn't go away. And even if things are good and smooth, it takes a trigger for it to reoccur, for you to go back down that dark lane. It does take a trigger. And the truth is, I I think I was controlling it for the most part pretty well until um, the person I was with told me that they didn't want children, and I just for some reason that was my trigger. It was just the fact that I thought like my depression came back. But you see, because they didn't want it, that doesn't make them a bad person. They didn't make them a bad person. They didn't make me a bad person for wanting them. It's not even about that. The fact is that was what triggered my depression and my suicidal to come back. It was that because I felt like at that time, I really didn't love myself. But what triggered it was that. So that was just what the trigger was for me. Okay. And I guess I did love myself to a point because I went I went online live, but I went on Facebook and I was really crying for help because I was willing to say, okay, well, the relationship can go, but I still needed help. I needed help. I needed help. And that's the truth. At the end of the day, I didn't go on there to try to get attention for him to talk to me. I was willing to say goodbye to the relationship over the kid situation, but I still needed help. That's not a lie. That's not fake. I was suicidal. I was sad, hopeless, and I needed someone there. And I was living with myself. It was it was January. There was no one there. And I just went public. I went public for help. That's what I did. I wanted to die, but I didn't want to die. Enough that I went to ask for help. And the truth is, you know, when you love someone, you're supposed to love them, respect them, and be patient with them. And it's a fact that that person told me that they love me. They told me that they loved me. But when they saw me go live and they saw me be suicidal and put stuff on Facebook, you see, that's when they backed away from me. They told me they had to back off. They had to back away from me because I wasn't perfect. Oh no, I had serious problems. The same problems that I had told that person prior to meeting them in person that I had, that just didn't come out until I had that trigger. It took that trigger for it to come out. But you see, I wanted to marry that person. I love that person. How can I marry you if I know that if something like this come up and things aren't perfect, I'm depressed, you gonna divorce me? Are you gonna leave me because I'm depressed? Because I need help? You see, I don't feel like anybody, like, I feel like I shouldn't enter a relationship, but that was something that we decided. That was something that we decided together. I didn't make you be with me. We decided that, even though I had depression, and that's a fact. That's a fact that I told them beforehand. It was a fact that I told them. And even though I knew they should have known as well, but we got together, that was an agreement that we made. But when that depression and that suicidal came into reality, when I was having my episode, they abandoned me. They told me that this was red flags, and they told me I can't be a part of this. You're not perfect. This is too much for me. I can't deal with this. So I don't love you enough to stay here with you. I don't love you enough to take things slower. I don't love you enough to talk this out. I got to back off. This is too much for me. I know you said you had it, but you showed me you had it now. And I can't have nothing to do with that. That's what that person told me, and that hurt it. That hurt it. But I had no choice but to back off. I wanted them to stay around. I remember that really hurted me because I felt like I need you right now. I need someone there. And I truly loved them. Despite whatever they have going on in their life, I may not have liked it, but I was willing to stay through it. But they couldn't stay with me through this. And that's a choice that we have, right? That's why we're not together. And it's just, the truth is, I blame myself because I say I shouldn't have entered that relationship. I'm sorry I wasn't perfect. I'm sorry I had depression. I'm sorry you had to see it firsthand. I'm sorry that I took this anger out on you. I'm sorry I cursed you out. I'm sorry I had my episodes. I'm sorry this had to happen to our relationship. I'm sorry. And I blame myself, and I don't forgive myself because I say, you knew you weren't ready for that relationship. You knew you weren't ready for that. And I forgave them, but I didn't forgive myself. I didn't forgive myself because I knew I wasn't ready for that, but they did too. And the fact of the matter is, it's more so the pressure I put on myself that hurts so much. I try to be right. I try to do good things, and I have a really good heart. And I was honest about that stuff. I was honest. So when the problem came up, they was like, yeah, no. And you see, even the conversation we had about children, when I thought that's when they broke up with me, when I thought they were done, they weren't, because they still had on Facebook that we were together. They still publicly claimed me until I went suicidal, or I went and posted this and I cried for help, and my depression came to the surface of what I was dealing with in my life. When that showed, that's when they backed the fuck off. But it's enough on that. My point is, I just been blaming myself. Like, why do I have these problems? Why can I deal with this stuff? And the whole point of this video is I can forgive you for leaving. I can forgive you for not being there. I can forgive you for ignoring me. I can forgive you for not loving me unconditionally or willing to be patient with me through this. And I think sometimes, obviously I will get through this because it's just me talking about this. It's helping me get through this. But it's like my love was unconditional. My love was unconditional, and that's what I wanted back. I wanted someone to love me. I wanted someone to be patient with me. And I know, and I blame myself because I'm like, nobody has to deal with this. Nobody. I blame myself because I'm like, it's not peaches and cream, you know? It's not perfect. I got problems. I got stuff that I got baggage from childhood trauma, from a lot of things prior to you. And I knew that, and I told them that, and that's where I was honest. I told them, and they still wanted to meet me. They still met me. We still decided to take it further. But when that stuff came up and they got to experience my life for a moment, when they got to see how I felt about myself, they didn't want anything to do with me anymore. And I held that against them for a long time, and then I forgave them. I forgave them because I said, you shouldn't have to deal with this. I forgave them because I'm like, we're supposed to both be healthy, we're supposed to do this or whatever. But it's the fact that when we decided to be together, we should have decided to love each other and be patient with each other and accept things. Because, there was things on their end that wasn't perfect either, that caused me harm, that caused me hurt. There was things that would have to be different, that I would have to accept, and that I was willing to, even if it was frustrating for me. But they could not do that same thing for me. They couldn't do that. And that's their choice. But I forgave them. That's the thing. But I never forgave myself because I wasn't ready for that relationship. I never forgave myself for not being able to cope or handle this. I never forgave myself until now. I have to. I have to forgive myself because not only that I learned maybe I shouldn't get into something with someone while I'm depressed, but it's like we both knew. He knew and I knew. Because I was honest with him, I should accept it and I should forgive myself for not being ready because I knew, but I felt like, you know what? He knew too. And that fact right there means that I can forgive myself and I can say, he knew, Jayshawna. He knew, and you told him. Maybe y'all didn't talk about it forever. Maybe it was swept under the rug. But it was true. And I wanted him to stay with me when I needed him the most. I've been through a dark tunnel by myself. And I forgive myself. I forgive myself and I forgive him. And the truth is, I forgive, but I don't forget because God made me smart. He allowed you to remember things so you don't keep doing the same thing over again. You're able to remember, you're able to not forget so you don't put yourself in that situation again. But you have to forgive to be forgiven. But it's not just about me forgiving him, it's about forgiving myself. I have to stop holding this weight. I have to stop saying, dang, I wish that I was ready, or I wish that I didn't storm off like that. I wish I didn't curse him out. I wish I wasn't ready. and I wasn't healthy. And I forgive myself for that. I forgive myself not for being not healthy, but for really just entering that relationship and just I forgive myself for holding this weight on me because it's hard to explain it because I'm still processing, but you supposed to love somebody through thick and thin. When I told him I love him, I meant it. I meant that I loved you. I didn't mean it when things are going good between us, but when things go bad, I still love you. And that's what I want back from somebody. And I forgive. I mean, I can forgive you and be at peace about this now. And I forgive myself too for being so hard on myself all the time. Forgive everybody else, the people who took advantage of me. Forgive myself. Can't keep being mad at myself, you know? Can't keep hating myself for stuff that I did too. Gotta let that go. Gotta let that go. Can't keep holding on to that weight because that's the stuff that hurts me. It was before this decision here. It was before this decision here, this relationship here. It's not only relationships, it's people I trusted, people who were supposed to be caring about me, people who were supposed to take care of me, everything. People, everything. It's not just this, it's everything. But it's just I don't forgive myself because I always might feel like I had a part in something or I let it happen or I should have known better. It's a lesson learned, guys. It's a lesson learned. So maybe now my progress can move on a little bit quicker because, the financial stuff is coming, the car stuff is coming, but this stuff right here, this has to happen. You gotta forgive yourself and you gotta forgive other people. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.